Welcome to Raw Machines, a journey into some of the world's most remarkable processes, shaped by human skill and material knowledge. In this episode, we travel to Zeltingen, a small town in the Moselle wine region, where one of the last workshops still preserves the traditional craft of oak cooperage. Follow the transformation of a rough block of oak as it is shaped by fire, hand tools, and time, step by step, into a wooden vessel made to hold wine. Let's begin. Zeltingen lies in the heart of the Middle Moselle, between Bernkastel and the winding bends of the Moselle River, where the Sonnenur and Himmelreich vineyards cling to sun-facing slopes, shaping the distinctive natural conditions of Moselle wine. Around 50 wine estates cultivate nearly 250,000 vines here. Alongside viticulture, the craft of oak cooperage has long flourished. Today, only a single workshop in Zeltingen continues the tradition of handcrafted oak barrel making, an emblematic legacy of Moselle wine culture. The product crafted at this stage is a small oak topping up vessel with a capacity of about 8 liters used in wine cellars to replenish fermenting or aging barrels and compensate for wine lost through evaporation. The process begins with a short block of oak. Using iron wedges and a heavy mallet, the cooper splits the wood along the grain into narrow pieces. An old wagon axle is repurposed as a splitting block, securing the wood while reflecting the practicality and ingenuity inherent in traditional craftsmanship. The split pieces are shaped into narrow oak staves that form the body of the vessel. Splitting the wood along the grain rather than sawing across it preserves the natural fiber structure, providing the flexibility and strength required for later bending. The pale, softer sapwood near the bark is removed with a specialized axe. Only the darker, dense heartwood is retained, the essential material that determines the durability and load-bearing strength of the finished wooden vessel. Before assembly, each daub is thinned at the center and tapered at both ends to establish the preliminary curve of the vessel's belly. This work is carried out on a multi-purpose shaving bench, where the cooper uses a Z-messer and foot pressure to secure the blank, ensuring smooth and accurate cuts. Only high-quality oak, free of knots and grain fractures, is selected. The wood is cut to cask length and air-dried outdoors for about 3 years, allowing the timber to stabilize and become ready for the subsequent stages of bending and assembly. Once the staves have been smoothly planed, the cooper shapes them precisely against a reference stave. Each type of vessel has its own template, made by the cooper, which defines the exact length, curvature, and degree of taper at the ends. All staves are first cut to a uniform length. The taper, created by narrowing the edge face toward both ends, is formed on the chopping block. Although the staves may vary in initial width due to the splitting process, the degree of taper must be identical in every piece. This consistent taper allows the vessel to swell at the center and narrow at both ends, enabling the staves to press tightly together when the hoops are tightened and preventing the hoops from slipping during use. After the initial rough shaping outdoors, the staves are brought into the workshop for fine finishing. This stage applies to all vessel types, from large closed barrels to open vats, although open vats require finishing only at the lower end. The outer curvature is defined using a template. The long edge indicates the contour of the vessel's body, while the short edge sets the joining angle. At the shaving bench, the cooper works with a long plane, checking the form continuously against the template. The jointing edges are finished on a smooth cherry wood jointing block with a guide nearly 2 meters long. This allows precise work even on the long staves of large barrels, ensuring tight, accurate joints before raising the vessel and fitting the hoops. Once the jointing edges have been finely prepared, each stave is guided past a fixed, razor-sharp plane blade set into the center of the jointing block, allowing precise shaping of both narrow edges. The aim is to achieve the exact joining angle as the joints follow the curved line of the vessel's body. Even the slightest deviation can lead to leakage. Each stave is therefore checked repeatedly against the template and adjusted as needed, especially in areas of pronounced curvature, where the edges meet closely and are subjected to strong hoop pressure. The challenge lies in maintaining a consistent joining angle along a gently curved line over the full length of the stave. After these corrections, the inner face of each stave is finished with a convex, long plane, creating a uniform concavity along its length. This ensures that, once assembled, the interior of the vessel is round, continuous, and watertight, ready for the subsequent stages of raising and hooping. Once a sufficient number of finished staves has been prepared, the cooper begins raising the vessel directly on the workshop floor, using a setting hoop to define its shape. This stage involves arranging the staves into a hollow circular body, following their prescribed order and curvature. The first stave is temporarily secured with a clamp to hold its position. The remaining staves are then set in sequence, working clockwise so that each joint fits tightly against the next. The final stave is usually pressed into place by the natural tension of the assembled pieces, requiring no additional fastening. When all staves stand firmly, the hoop is driven downward to draw the upper section together. At this point, the top opening closes while the base remains open. This half-formed structure demands precise workmanship, as the accuracy of the frame determines the integrity of the finished vessel. Because air-seasoned oak is inherently brittle, the raised vessel must be softened with heat and moisture before bending. Small barrels are immersed in boiling water, while larger vessels are heated over an open fire, with water applied continuously to soften the wood without scorching the surface. During the roughly 2-hour heating process, the cooper forges the iron hoops. Flat iron strips are shaped by hand on the anvil, one edge flared to fit the vessel's contour, then measured, overlapped, punched, and riveted into place. After steaming, the vessel body becomes supple and resilient, ready for tightening. The cooper uses a barrel puller to draw in the base. As the metal cable is twisted, it contracts, gradually pulling the stave ends together. This controlled tightening closes the vessel without cracking or breaking the wood. Each iron hoop is measured individually for its exact position on the body, especially the neck hoop at the opening. The ends of the iron strip are overlapped, punched, and hand-riveted, requiring precise alignment so the hoop grips the wood securely when driven on. Once the stave ends approach contact and the joints begin to close, the first hoop is driven on with a hammer to lock the form. If the fit is not yet correct, the puller is tightened again before the hoop is reset and secured. Additional hoops are then fitted successively from top and bottom, progressively tightening and stabilizing the body. Throughout this process, a shaping hammer is used to strike the belly evenly, further softening the wood and pressing the joints tight, even at opposing points. The sequence of tightening, releasing, and hooping is carefully repeated, ensuring the body contracts along its true axis without distortion, in preparation for the final finishing stages. Once the vessel body has stabilized in shape, the lower end is planed flat. The cooper then uses a grooving tool to cut the bottom groove, typically about 3 cm above the lower edge, thereby forming the vessel's base seat. Next, the temporary hoops are removed to allow the wood to relax slightly. The bottom board is laid out with a 6-point compass, then driven into the groove with a wooden mallet. For long aging casks, dried reed fibers are inserted as a sealing gasket. Finally, the bung hole, spundloch, is drilled into the belly, serving for filling, ventilation, and control of fermentation. After the bottom is fitted, the permanent hoops are installed and driven tight into their final positions. The cooper checks the neck and belly hoops, then removes the middle hoop to eliminate remaining tool marks on the vessel body. The exterior is skim-planed to reveal the natural oak grain and true the surface. During this work, the vessel is secured in a vise for precision. Water is then poured in to test the tightness of the joints. Any leakage is corrected immediately by reforming blows or by adjusting the hoops. Before use, the vessel is soaked in water for a set period so the oak can swell evenly, allowing the joints and bottom groove to seal completely. This swelling process forms the final step, determining the vessel's tightness, structural stability, and long-term durability. In modern wine production, industrial containers have largely replaced handcrafted barrels. Yet, small wooden vessels and tubs continue to be reused in daily life as functional and decorative objects. Thus, Cooperage now survives less as a tool of winemaking than as a vessel of craft memory, carrying artisanal heritage from past to present. The entire process of crafting wooden jugs and barrels in Zeltingen is not merely a sequence of technical operations, but the result of a long accumulation of artisanal knowledge, material experience, and a deep-rooted relationship between people and the natural environment of the Moselle wine region. Every stage, from splitting oak along its natural grain, removing the sapwood, and air-drying the timber for many years under local climatic conditions, to shaping individual staves, raising the vessel, applying heat, tightening hoops, and allowing the wood to swell, embodies a system of knowledge passed down through generations. Here, technique is inseparable from rhythms of labor, seasonal cycles, humidity, and the distinctive landscape of the Moselle Valley. Within this process, oak is not treated as an inert material, but as a living one, possessing its own grain structure, internal stresses, and growth history. The Cooper does not impose form through force or modern machinery, but works through careful observation, tactile perception, and constant adjustment in response to the wood itself. Splitting along the grain, controlled planing, and the combined use of heat and steam reveal an approach rooted in respect for the material's natural properties, where precision arises from experience and skilled judgment rather than from measurement alone. The stages of shaping and sealing the vessel body, from achieving uniform taper in each stave, raising the shell in its zarge state, to drawing it together with tension ropes and fixing the iron hoops, demonstrate a refined understanding of geometry and mechanics. The bulging center and gently narrowed ends are not only traditional in appearance, but ensure even pressure distribution, allowing the joints to self-seal as the wood expands. This structure provides watertightness, stability, and long-term durability within the cool, humid environment of the wine cellar. In the context of modern wine production, as industrial barrels increasingly replace handcrafted ones in economic terms, Cooperage in Zeltingen has shifted from a utilitarian trade to a cultural and heritage practice. Objects such as the Stitze jug, or small wooden vessels, are no longer merely functional tools, but carriers of craft memory, linking the present to the historical wine culture of the Moselle. Preserving the last Cooperage workshop thus means more than safeguarding an old technique. It is the preservation of a working ethos, slow, precise, and respectful of material, in which knowledge, memory, and local identity are embedded in every grain and joint. Thank you for listening to the end of this story. If you enjoy videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next journey. Raw Machines signs off. See you next time.